See, before we discuss the problem of evil, we have to understand what exactly the evil is. Evil means suffering. Uh, Almost all the people or all the animals suffer from the experience the suffering in their life. So that's why the existence of suffering cannot be denied, and that was the reason why even you will find that the whole of the philosophy of Buddha was based upon the suffering, because according to the Buddhist philosophy, Buddha believed that there is a suffering, and there is a cause of suffering, and if you remove the cause, then you can get rid of suffering. So that is why the existence of suffering cannot be denied, because almost all the people or the animal experience the suffering in their life. And these suffering are of two types. So the first type of suffering is known as physical suffering. Physical suffering means that all the suffering that you get because of the result of either the all the natural phenomena, like for example, the whenever the earthquake takes place, then a lot of people dies. If the flood takes place, then also a lot of people die. So if any kind of suffering that you experience because of the natural phenomena, calamity, is known as uh, physical suffering. But people suffer also because of their own actions, like for example, if any engineer indulge in corrupt activity, and if he doesn't you know use the quality material in the construction of any bridges, and if the bridge, because of the lack of the qualitative material, if this bridge collapses, and because of the collapse of this bridge, if a lot of people die, then these people will experience the suffer, they will go through the suffering. And this kind of suffering people actually experience because of the man's own actions. So this kind of suffering is known as moral suffering. So suffering can be of two types in this world. It can be either the physical suffering because of the natural calamity, or it may be because of the moral suffering because of the act of the man. So we have a two types of suffering. Now the we will talk about the problem of evil. First of all, you have to understand that this problem is not for those people who don't believe in the God. So this problem is not for atheists. This problem is only for those people who believe in God, and at the same time they also believe that the God is a super powerful and He is kind also. At the same time, there is a suffering in this world also. So that's why this problem is a logical problem for basically those people who believe in the God, because all the three statements that we have just talked about cannot be true simultaneously. For example, these theists believe that the God is super powerful, and he is a kind also. It means that he is a kind, that means that he want to remove the suffering, and he is super powerful also, means he can also remove the suffering. He want to remove the suffering, and he can also. Then the question arises that why there is suffering in this world, because if he is a kind and he also can remove this suffering from the world, then why this suffering exists? If we think that the God is super powerful, and it means that he can remove the suffering, and but he is there is suffering in this world also, then he cannot be considered as a kind, because he is capable of removing, but still he is not removing this suffering from the world, it means he cannot be considered as a kind. If we consider him as a kind, or then he cannot be considered as a super powerful, because it means that he is a kind, it means that he want to remove the suffering from this world, but he is not capable of. So that's why you may have realized that all the three statements cannot be true simultaneously. So this becomes a logical problem. Now, lot of these philosophers actually try to, give some argument, saying that it is not the God who actually is responsible for this suffering. So we will discuss about all the different argument that has been given by this philosopher, and how far, to what extent this argument can be logical. So the first argument that this philosopher has given is that the suffering is a result of the human being's own sin. So why human beings suffer? Because he commits sin, that's why he has to suffer. It is not the fault of the God. But the problem in this argument is that how we can know the order of the God. Because if we don't follow the order of the God, it means that we are committing sin. But how we will get the order of, we will be able to know the order of the God? Because different religion talks about different morality. For example, in Islam, giving sacrifice of an animal may not be considered as a immoral, but in some other religion it may be considered as a immoral. So different religion has a different perspective about the morality. That's why it becomes very difficult for a human being to understand exactly what is the order of the God. Then even if you can come to know about what the order of the gods are, then also how you can justify the suffering that the innocent birds, animals suffer during any earthquake or any natural calamity. This has been explained by this philosopher on the basis of the theory of deeds, theory of karma. But this theory of karma, because they say that these innocent birds and animals may have committed sin in their previous life, that's why they are now going through this suffering. But the theory of karma itself has not been proven. It is itself is in doubt. So that's why on the basis of theory of karma we cannot justify the suffering that these innocent birds and animals go through during any natural calamity. Then if we consider that the human being is being punished because of the sin that he may have committed, then trying to overcome this suffering, or trying to do something to deal with this suffering, is some kind of interference in the law of the God, in the scheme of the God, because you are trying to remove this suffering, but the God has already decided that all those people who have committed sin has to be punished. So if you try to remove the suffering of these people, then it's some kind of interference in the scheme of the God. Then another problem with this argument is that why exactly in the first place the human commit the sin? Because because uh, the human being is a creation of the God. So God could have actually created human being in such a manner that he would not have committed sin at all. So that's why ultimately the God cannot escape his responsibility. So that is how there's this argument is problematic. Then the second thing is that this argument does not explain actually the why actually there is a moral sin in this world, because this moral sin is a result, moral suffering is a result of the human being's own act. Then the second argument that this philosopher gives is that they say that it is some kind of warning, moral warning by the God, because if God does not punish this pupil, then they will forget the God, and they will not actually deter from committing the sin. So that's why it is some kind of moral warning by the God. But the problem with this argument is that this kind of suffering, which is a some kind of warning by the God, cannot make a people religious, because sometimes people suffer for such a long period of time that instead of becoming religious person, they become even irreligious. So, and this kind of warning, this kind of punishment cannot actually produce the faith in the God. So, this is the problem. Then, this actually argument also does not explain the moral suffering, because which is a result of the human being's own action. And finally, this argument also makes God very inferior, because in order to get himself prayed, he punishes the pupil. So he is no more different from a normal human being who actually punishes those people who don't actually respect him. So that's why this argument makes the God as inferior as any human being can. So that is the problem. The third argument that this philosopher gives is that if you have to know the good, then you have to know the evil also. Because like for example, they say that if you have to uh, if you have to enjoy the sweetness, then you have to know the bitterness also. If you know the bitterness, then only you can enjoy the sweetness. So that's why uh, if you have to enjoy the light, then you also should be knowing the darkness, because only after having known the darkness you can enjoy the light. This is the argument that this philosopher has given, but we will see to what extent this argument can be considered as a logical. First of all, we can say that the good has its own existence. Good does not depend upon the evil, because this argument also this because good has its own independent existence, and all those goods which are dependent upon the evil cannot be considered as a pure good, because if there was no evil, then the existence of these goods would not have been required at all. So for example, like whenever you see the beautiful picture, or if you sing, or if you write poetry, these kind of, when then you enjoy these kind of goods is not dependent upon the evil. So that's why we can say that the good has its own existence, and all those goods which are dependent upon the evil, they at the best they can be considered as a mixed goods, they cannot be considered as a pure good. Now, this argument also says that if there will be no evil, then people will not actually act, because people act because of the fact that they suffer. So, in order to overcome the suffering, they act, otherwise, they will not act. But this is not the case, because some people, even despite the fact that they don't maybe not be having any kind of problem in their life, but still they keep on working to actually, they keep on working, like some people may keep on singing, they may keep on writing poetry. So this is not necessary that if you have to work hard, or if you have to work hard, you have to have a problems. Without even the problems, human being can act. And even if you can say that people only act because of the fact that he want to overcome the suffering, then the god could have made the human being in such a manner that even without having suffering, he would have acted. So ultimately the responsibility lies with the god. Then why actually the god made human being in such a manner that who could know the good only after having experienced the evil? Then long term suffering also make human being selfish. It is not necessary that the suffering always produce the good quality in human being. So that is the another problem. And if you believe in this theory, then you will see that this theory actually justify the distribution of the evil, because this theory says that all the sufferings are actually good. Otherwise, if there will be no suffering, then human being will not act. So it any how it actually justify the distribution of the suffering, but this is not correct, because some of the people suffer a lot. Uh, that's why this theory is also not, you know, logical. And if we can consider that all the sufferings in this world is justifiable, then the human endeavor to overcome this suffering is of no use. So that is why this argument is also appears to be bogus. Then the other argument this philosopher gives is that the evil is some kind of illusion, because they say that sometime you think that if something happens in your life, you think that this is not good for me, it is bad. But later on, after some period of time, you will find that it was not as bad as you may have thought at that point of time. It may turn out to be good for you in the future. So that is why these philosophers says that this illusion, this suffering is a illusion, because you generally see everything in a segregated manner. If you see whatever is happening in your life as a part of the whole, then you will find ultimately this was not a suffering. So that is how actually they describe. But we will examine actually how to what extent this argument is true. First of all, how you can say that this is an illusion, because the people actually experience this. And if suppose some people are suffering from the pain, and if you tell him that this is an illusion, it will be some kind of you know crime against him, because he is suffering, he is experiencing the pain, and you are saying that these are illusion. And if it is illusion, then who actually produced, who have created this illusion? The God should not have created this illusion. So ultimately the responsibility cannot be escaped by the God, because God is a kind and he is a super powerful also. That's why he can remove this illusion. So that is the problem. Then this also does not actually explain the moral suffering which is the result of human beings own action. And if we think that this suffering is an illusion, then why a human being should also try to remove it? Because this is an illusion. So that's why human beings should not do anything to overcome this suffering. Then the next argument that has been given by this philosopher is on the basis of law of nature, because he says, these philosophers says that there is a law of nature, and there is a some kind of organization, and what we say, this some kind of these all the laws are actually these natural laws. There is some kind of harmony in this world because of these natural laws. You cannot say that the fire should only produce cook the food, but it will not burn anybody. uh, Fire can do both the things. If it can produce if you can cook the food, it can also burn. So that's why it depends upon your uses. Any law has a two aspect. It cannot it cannot be only beneficial. It can be harmful as well, and it can be beneficial also. And that is why there is a harmony in this world. If Because all the laws, you cannot find any fire which will cook the food but which will not burn anybody. So this is the problem. And they say that that's why there is a harmony in this world, because this whole world is actually regulated by the some natural laws, which has a two aspect, both positive as well as negative. It depends upon how you use. Like for example, we have just given an example that fire can both cook the food as well as it can burn also somebody. So that's why these natural laws work in this manner. But still we'll see exactly what is the problem in this argument. The first of all, the God is super powerful. That's why he could have actually created such kind of law which would have always given positive effect. That was not impossible for him, because he is a super powerful. Then some suffering is not result of abuse of these natural laws. For example, if you have a polio or some birth defect, then uh, these sufferings are not result of any kind of abuse of any natural law. For example, if you abuse the law of fire, then you can get yourself burned. But this is polio, and a lot of birth defect is not result of any kind of abuse of this natural law. So that's why this argument is not correct. Then this also does not explain the moral suffering. Then the another problem is that another argument that is given by this philosopher. These all the argument that we have discussed till now was was given to explain the physical suffering or natural suffering, but these all the argument cannot explain the why exactly there is a moral suffering in this world. So now whatever argument we are going to discuss, these argument actually explain why exactly there is a moral suffering in this world. So the first argument says that the God has given the human being is some kind of freedom of will. If the God had not given this freedom of will, then the life of human being would have been very mechanical, like he would not have any choice. So that's why it is some kind of it is a the it is the God gave the human being the freedom of will. That's why his life is much better than what would have been if he didn't have the freedom of will. But against this argument, we can say that human being is not free. He appears to be free, but it is not the case, because he is not free, because his action is determined by where exactly he has taken birth, and lot of other circumstances under which he actually operate. So it is some kind of illusion. It appears like human being is a free, but he is not free, because his action is determined by a lot of other circumstances. And even if we consider human being as a free also, then it does not actually explain the why exactly there is a natural suffering in this world. The third problem with this argument is that if God actually had not given the freedom of will, but if he had made the human being in such a manner that he would have always selected the good, then you know the the life of human being would have become more mechanical. This is the argument actually basically this theist gives, that if the God had not given the the freedom of will to human being, and if the God had made human being in such a manner that he would have always chosen the good, then his life would have become mechanical. But we can say against this argument that even in the absence of the freedom of will, if he would have chosen always the good, then his life would have been, the world would have been much better, because there wouldn't have been any kind of suffering in this world. And the first of all, why exactly human being commit this sin? uh, because of the bad habits that he have, and who actually has created these bad habits? Ultimately God. So the God cannot escape his responsibility, because ultimately God is a creator of the human being. Then the other problem with this argument, when the God is a pure good, then from where exactly this evil came from in human being? So that's why if we say that he is not he is not if the god evil came from somewhere else, then he cannot be considered as super powerful, because there is some other power also who has created this evil. And if we say that the god is came from the god itself, then god cannot be considered as a good, also pure good. God could have actually created human being in such a manner that he would have always chosen out of two good options, he would have chosen one option. In this manner, the God could have given the human being a freedom of will as well. At the same time, he would not have committed any sin also, because out of two good options, he could have chosen the one good option. So if the God had made this world in such a manner, then the both things could have been achieved. But then the other argument they give that finally this philosopher accepted that the God is not super powerful. It means he is a kind, he want to remove, but he is suffering, but he is not super powerful. So if we accept this argument, then their whole theory is get destroyed completely. Then another argument, last argument that they give, that these all these things cannot be understood with the help of logic, because so these things could not be actually cannot be understood with the help of logic. But our argument against this, their argument is that as long as you explain everything about the God, like how God, what are the characteristics of God, everything you keep on explaining about the God. So as long as you don't face any kind of difficulty, everything can be understood with the help of logic. But when you are not able to explain something, then you start saying that this cannot be understood with the help of logic. So what is the conclusion? What exactly can we, according to the thesis Ishwarvad, can the presence of the suffering can be explained, or whether we should leave the this we should not believe in the God. Buddha says that the the reason for the suffering is the trishna. So according to Buddha, if we follow the Ashtangic marg, then we can get rid of this moral suffering, because as we have discussed that moral suffering is a result of human being own action. So if you don't have this trishna, the greed, then you will not indulge in any kind of evil, because you will not indulge in any kind of corrupt practice, or you will not commit any kind of sin. So that's how you can get rid of the moral suffering. As far as natural suffering is concerned, you can, to some extent, you can reduce this suffering by protecting the environment, or by having some kind of development in medical science. So we can, all these moral suffering can be, to some extent, can be reduced by getting rid of the trishna or greed, or following the moral practices, or the physical suffering also to some extent can be reduced by protecting environment, having a development in medical sciences. So the ultimate conclusion is that the human being should try to overcome this suffering on their own, instead of believing in the Ishwarvad.